As Kathy mentioned, I'm active in many groups, including Help Save Maryland, which is a nonpartisan, multi-ethnic, grassroots citizens organization. Its mission is to help educate the public on the many problems in Maryland caused by illegal immigration. Help Save Maryland's executive director, Brad Botwin, has been trying to get today's morning speaker, here to Maryland for quite some time, but unfortunately, now that she's here, he can't make it. His daughter's getting married today. Pamela Geller, daughter's wedding. Pamela Geller, daughter. It was close. Okay, I'm going to do something a little unusual and start off quoting here at a conservative gathering. I'm going to start off by quoting a 19th century Italian socialist revolutionary, a guy named Carlo Pisacane. In 1847, he said, "Deeds inspire ideas, not the other way around." This morning's speaker is a perfect example of this. Deeds inspire ideas. Pamela Geller is an influential author, investigative journalist, blogger, speaker, and activist. I'm sure many of you are already regular followers of her website and blog, atlasshrug.com. She's also the executive director of the American Freedom Defense Initiative and Stop Islamization of America. Ms. Geller has authored 2 books, one called Stop the Islamization of America, A Practical Guide to Resistance. It's available for purchase out in the lobby. And also The Post-American Presidency, the Obama Administration's War on America. She has written for and been interviewed by more publications, TV shows, cable shows, radio shows than we have time to talk about. But she's probably best known for her leadership against the Ground Zero Mosque in New York City. You may also have seen or heard her, or heard about the controversial ads she paid to put up in the New York, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco transit systems. There's an ad that says, quote, "In any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man." Ms. Geller has received many awards and honors, such as the Annie Taylor Award for Courage from the David Horowitz Freedom Center, and Patriot of the Year from the Queens Village Republican Club, which is the oldest Republican club in America, formed in 1875. But in my book, her biggest honor is that the Southern Poverty Law Center has declared her organization a hate group. I just want you to know I'm envious, because Help Save Maryland has been active for 7 years, and we've only made it up to nativist extremist group. So I want to know what her secret is. And I also know that anybody that irks former delegate Ali Saqib as much as she does is a friend of all of us, right? So please join me in welcoming the woman whose motto is, quote, "Evil is made possible by the sanction you give it. Withdraw your sanction." Pamela Geller.
If I may make a correction, I am 5 designated hate groups. I want to thank Kathy and Paul for having me. I want to thank you really for attending, because increasingly it's getting more and more difficult to attend these things. You are smeared, defamed, marginalized for standing in defense of freedom. Understand that that is the font of where all of my ideas come from, individual rights. And if we look at the past 4 years, we are so besieged. Looking at the world is completely and utterly different, and you become inured to it, or the media is so deceptive. As you know, I call them the enemy-media. that whole swaths of the Middle East and Africa have been turned over to jihadist revolutions. There's been infiltration by the Muslim Brotherhood at senior level, at the DOD and the DOS. The Department of Justice has become the de facto legal arm for the Muslim Brotherhood groups here in America. CARE, the Council of American-Islamic Relations, Hamas CARE, who are unindicted co-conspirators in the largest terrorist funding trial in our nation's history, is the go-to for the media. 300 groups were designated as Muslim Brotherhood groups in the largest terrorist funding trial, the Holy Land Foundation trial. Now, Holder is sitting on a mountain of evidence, and you know where that's going. The same place that the Black Panther trial went. But there are many, many things that we can discuss. But I will tell you that the most critical battle is the battle for the freedom of speech. More than anything else, because with freedom of speech, you can change the course of human events. Yes. And without freedom of speech, peaceful men have no alternative but to resort to violence. And I am telling you, there is a war on free speech. Not only is it on the college campuses where myself, my colleagues, whether it's Robert Spencer or Ibn Warwick, cannot speak. And when we are invited, it's only a matter of time before we're disinvited. Which is why I have to tip my hat to your elected officials, like Mr. Kipke, who stood tall. This is a rare bird in today's environment, I have to tell you. Anyone that speaks the truth is marginalized, demonized, and rendered radioactive. Truth is the new hate speech. And just telling the truth is an extreme act. You know, these ads that I've gotten an enormous amount of heat over, you need to understand it's not that like I'm painted as an agent provocateur. I was in the New York subway system, and there was a very vicious anti-Israel ad campaign running. One, I might add, that's run all over this country. Thousands of ads. And so I submitted a pro-Israel ad, and I was rejected because the word savage was demeaning. Okay? So I had to sue. I had to sue the city of New York. And not only did I sue and win, but it was not a narrow victory. I won on all points. Because, yes. Because the freedom of speech protects all ideas. That's the point. Dissent, that's the point. Not just ideas that we like, but ideas that we don't like. Because then who would decide what's good and what's forbidden? The government? The MTA? Muslim Brotherhood groups who increasingly apply pressure on the government and in the media, which, frankly, is self-enforcing the Sharia. The media will not discuss the motivation behind the close to over 20,000 Islamic attacks, deadly Islamic attacks, not just Islamic attacks, deadly, since 9/11. This is the gravest threat that Western civilization faces, and we are not allowed to talk about it. And if you talk about it, you are destroyed. Your reputation, your credibility, your word is destroyed. Your ability to make a living is destroyed. So I submitted these ads, okay, we know these ads. In any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man. I was rejected, I sued, I put them up, 10 ads, 10 posters in New York City subways, destroyed within an hour. Thousands of anti-Israel ads across the country, not one has been defaced, removed, or in any way destroyed. You with me? Yeah. And the media lauded it. Oh, what do you think of your ads being destroyed? I said, I think it's a physical manifestation of this war on free speech. That's what I think. The media is self-censoring by enforcing the blasphemy laws under the Sharia. Under the Sharia, you cannot criticize or insult Islam, whether it's true or not. It is against the Sharia. And by the way, blasphemy is punishable by death. And in Muslim countries, many Christians are put to death for, you know, it's a trumped up charge of blasphemy. Here in America, you're not assassinated, but your character's assassinated. So these ads went up. Now, mind you, the same ad went up. The same ad went up. This one said, support the Copts, defeat jihad. Support the Hindus, defeat jihad. Support America, defeat jihad. That never got any press. But if it's anti-Semitic, if it's Israel, then the anti-Semites come out. And I tell you, the Jews, whether you like Israel or not, is the canary in the coal mine. They're the bulwark in the Middle East against a tsunami of jihad. And you're going to see now, you're going to see the poisonous fruit of Obama's foreign policy.
Yes.
The only freedom revolution in the Middle East was Iran. The only freedom revolution in June 2009, led by women. Now, all these other revolutions in Libya and Egypt, it was all men. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to see. He invited the Muslim Brotherhood to his speech in Cairo in June 2009. Mid-level cabinet officials were meeting with the Muslim Brotherhood. That wasn't an accident. Immediately in January 2011, I was writing that this is the Muslim Brotherhood, and I was derided and smeared by the media. And what do we have? You didn't have to be a rocket scientist. You didn't have to be sagacious or brilliant. Truth is the recognition of reality. So let's get back to the ads. Yes? So once New York City, which is obviously the bellwether in our cultural landscape, ruled so completely in my favor, so completely that they threw out the MTA's rules and regulations. And they had to rewrite the rules and regulations. The ads went up all over the country, and I'm sure you've seen, Mona El-Tahawi, CNN journalist, physically attacking my ads. And a woman that works with me, because I had said to a woman that works with me, Pamela, who's just an amazing, intrepid blogger, I said, you should go down to the subways. This is what she does, she videos. I said, because the media is only showing the negative reaction. And I was getting thousands of emails in support. Let me tell you something. That ad campaign, and Mona El-Tahawi, I must send her a thank you card, because she did more to raise money for me than anything else in the world. When Pamela Hall went down to record Positive Reaction, and Mona El-Tahawi starts spraying the ads, Pamela stands in front of the ad, and she starts spraying Pamela and attacking Pamela, saying, this is my freedom of speech. The beauty is, and this of course is the hand of God, is that there were cops there. And she got arrested. The next thing the Muslim Brotherhood group, the leading Muslim Brotherhood group in this country does care, is they say, we're going to run our own ads. We're going to run an ad about the Quran. So of course, they have a little girl in a hijab. I don't know why a little girl has to be in a hijab. She's a little girl. So why does she have to, is she a sexual object and she has to cover herself? We won't go there. Think about it. There's a little girl in a hijab, and they run this verse that's been abrogated, in the Quran. There was the first stage, which was peaceful, the second stage, which was defensive jihad, and the third stage, which was offensive jihad. And when Muhammad was asked, there's many contradictory hadiths and quotes, how can that be? He said, Islam is revealed, it's a progressive religion, and so what comes later supersedes, abrogates, cancels out what came before. So they take a quote, show forgiveness, avoid ignorance. The only thing missing is my little picture next to avoid ignorance. And so they ran a Quran quote. I'm running a Quran quote, okay? And here I ran the actual quote that many of the 9/11 terrorists used. Soon shall we cast terror into the hearts of the unbelievers. Quran 3:151, and there is the towers. Now, this ad, just so that you know, is up now, went up this week on 250 clocks, lighted clocks. A brilliant buy, I might add. Yes, because the clock to me is, the clock is ticking on a civilizational jihad, and a bomb is tick-tock, tick-tock. So, and they're up. So now let's see what you're going to do to deface them. Now what's interesting is it's such a machine. You know, we're just individuals, but they're such a machine. They created already stickers to stick on, to stand on a garbage and stick on. Now let me tell you what the sticker says. The sticker says, "This is war propaganda and you are the target." I agree with them. This is war propaganda and you are the target. But the media calls this an anti-Muslim ad. Really? So you're saying this is what Muslims believe? Is that what the media is saying? The media has to report on this, is loath to report on this. NBC News, when they show the ad, covers the towers. Oh yes, did you know when I created an ad campaign for the Ground Zero Mosque, a bus campaign, I had the towers on one side with the plane approaching, the Ground Zero Mosque on the other side, and in the middle it said, "Why there?" Those ads were rejected. You know why? Because 9/11 images are embargoed. Did you know that? I said, how could 9/11 images be embargoed? It's American history. Is Pearl Harbor embargoed? Is Gettysburg? Unbelievable. They said, take out the plane. I took out the plane. They said, take out the smoke. I took out the smoke. But I have to say that in the blue background, I put a little plane. Because, you know, I like to have a good time. I like, you know, this is what I do. They said, hey, is that a plane? I said, what if it's a bird? They said, take it out. And that's when I sued them, and they caved right away, and those ads went up. And let me tell you something about that fight. We defeated that mosque. You defeated that mosque. You cannot lose hope because everyone was against you. The president showed his support at an iftar dinner. The mayor, the Ayatollah Bloomberg said, if we don't build the mosque, the terrorists will win. Hello? Nightmare. But the point is that no matter what the media tries to tell you, and no matter what the politicians try to tell you, you have the power. And I will tell you, as bad as things are, and they're terrible, yeah? There is a sea change. I see it. I see it. I mean, I'm on the ground. I see, I'm sort of everywhere. And in the past, when these articles used to run about our ads, about our work, about anyone who's fighting this, the comments were incredibly, overwhelmingly anti our work. And there has been, I will tell you, in the past 10 to 12 months, a distinct change. Time magazine did a piece on this ad. Let me tell you how deceptive and disgusting they are. They didn't even run this ad. They show the old Israel ad, but they're talking about this ad. And it's Time magazine. But go to the comments. I will tell you, the comments were running, when I saw it, 20-1 in our favor. You must get involved in the fight.
That's right.
The Muslim Brotherhood took, you know, they said, oh, jihad, you're misunderstanding jihad. And they started a campaign in Chicago where you have a girl in a hijab. My jihad is staying home. My jihad is going to the gym. My jihad is building friendships across the aisle. So I took the exact same campaign, same artwork, same orange border, and I did a series, they did a series of 5, I did a series of 5, and I used Osama bin Laden, the Times Square bomber, the Fort Hood jihadi, and their quotes. And underneath I said, that's my jihad, what's yours? That becomes news. And the point is, and you get to go on television in a very hostile environment. If you want to see one of these, you know, Muhammad Ali matches, go to YouTube and see, look for Erin Burnett and Geller. Watch that interview, because it's not about going on TV. It's about getting the message out in a guerrilla-like fashion, because that's what we're doing. This is guerrilla warfare. And that's why I do what I do. It's not the money I spend in the markets, but I submitted that ad to Chicago. where it's currently running. I mean, their ad is currently running, and San Francisco, back in December, okay? I'm still waiting for approval. So you know it's only a matter of time, but I'm gonna sue them. I'm gonna sue them good. You will never win the war on the defense. No war has ever been won on the defense. And if you're waiting for the miracle to come, look at the people sitting next to you. You are the miracle. People say, what can I do? What can I do? A lot. First of all, I don't know why people approach the problem the way they approach it. You know, if you're sick, if there was an epidemic, would a doctor say, oh, I can't cure everybody, what am I going to do? He's going to cure the people he can treat.
That's right.
And this is how you have to approach the problem. No one is going to, you know, no one person is going to solve this problem. This is never going to happen. You have a sphere of influence. I don't care if you live in your mother's basement. Talk to mom. I am telling you that intellectual movements throughout history are made by minorities. We don't need everybody. What we need to do is we need to educate people. This is what we need to do. Now, you have spheres of influence. There's a water cooler. I don't know what people do. All I do is work, but badminton, what are they doing today? I don't know. But whatever it is you do, mahjong, bridge, you have to talk to these people. And you will reach people. You won't reach anybody, and I'm not telling you to go on a rant, but think, take an inventory, a daily inventory. When you're anywhere you are, you hear things, you know, and many times you don't say anything. Silence is sanction. Speak on any scale. You must speak. You must do it now. The clock really is ticking. And freedom of speech certainly is under attack. I mean, these lawsuits are to make a point. You think people knew that the images of 9/11 were embargoed? People were shocked. And as overwhelming as the press was against my ads, that's as overwhelming as the people were in support of it. I know I got the emails and I got the donations. We have money for campaigns all over the country, and I'm going to run them. Oh, I'm going to run them. Every week, there's a jihadi attack that's thwarted in this country, and nobody reports on it. And we get beaten up for reporting on the news. Even this conference today, one website said, oh, and she ran a picture of Muhammad as a pig. First of all, so what? Second of all, what I did was I ran the picture of a cartoon that an imam added to the Danish cartoons, which was so innocuous that he wanted to make the insult more powerful. The imam added the Muhammad as a pig, and I ran that like, look what this imam did. So now I'm running pictures of Muhammad as a pig. And who died and made the Muhammad the prophet? Look, I don't buy into that. And every time you see it in the news, the prophet Muhammad, the prophet, he ain't my prophet. You don't see them say, Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. I'm telling you, it's this acceptance of the Sharia. It's this acceptance. We have to fight back. Look, I don't care if you're Church of Scientology, I don't care if you're a Wiccan, I don't care if you're a pagan, I don't care what you worship. I don't care if you worship a stone, just don't stone me with it. That's the line. This is the line. And, you know, I'm telling you, if a dictatorship comes to this country, it will be by the default of those who did not get involved. I want very much to take questions. There's a lot that I didn't go into. The mosquing of the workplace, imposing Muslim prayer times on union contracts, you know, where non-Muslims have to lengthen their day, and their lawsuits always to the companies that are the most accommodating, like Heinz, which has Muslim prayer rooms and Muslim prayer rugs. So Heinz is now being sued to stop the line. Stop the line for Muslim prayer times, okay? And mind you, yeah, they don't stop the line in Muslim countries. No, they pray, they make it up before or after. The curriculums in the schools, and there's a woman in the audience, Tanya, you know, who really monitors what her children are learning. This is what you have to do. And if you're in a school where they have this chapter, which is proselytizing, it's proselytizing to the children. They're not teaching about Islam and the 1400 years of jihadi wars, land appropriations, cultural annihilations, and enslavements, and the 270 million victims plus. They're teaching the pillars of Islam. You have to say, look, I see there's a chapter on Islam. I want a chapter on Christianity, and I want a chapter on Judaism, and Buddhism, and yes. So this way you're not a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim leader. That's how you have to approach it. So I urge you to get my book, Stop the Islamization of America, because there's so much going on, and people just don't have the glasses to see it. Because really, the media, what they're doing with, what they did with Obama, because the fact that this man was reelected on the eve of Benghazi. Our embassy was attacked, our people were slaughtered, and he's claiming freedom of speech and freedom of conscience and freedom of religion. And in Cairo, our embassy was taken over. And they're issuing tweets, we're sorry if we insulted the Muslims. When if you looked at the protest had signs to free the Sheikh Rahman, the mastermind of the '93 World Trade Center bombing. And as you know, there's currently obvious a dialogue on, it's not releasing him. We'll let him serve his turn in Egypt, like the Lockerbie bomb. Right. These things are happening. You must speak out. Freedom is not free. Understand that America, in and of itself, is a miracle. America was the first moral government in the history of the world. The first government based on individual rights. The first government based on individual rights, and everything noble and magnificent that we achieved as a nation was a logical fidelity to that principle. No one is going to save you. You are going to save you. Now get to work.
If you have a question for Pamela, please come to the microphone, which is right here in the middle of the room. Just line up. Please, no speeches. Pamela is the one to give the speech. A very brief question so we can get as many answered as possible. And we've got, I have about 15, 20 minutes on the max.
Okay, that's perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear it.
Okay. I'm just wondering, are you familiar with the documentary by Curtis Bowers? It's called Agenda Grinding Down America.
No.
Okay.
But I see the grinding down of America, so.
Very important that you get familiarized with that.
Okay.
Agenda Grinding Down America.
Okay, agenda grinding down America. Okay, thank you for that piece of advice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have any plans to clone what you're doing across the country?
I'm in a room full of clones.
I know, we need some guidance.
But you know what? This is the thing about individualists, because that's what we are. We're individualists. Is we don't need a strong man. Weak people need a strong man. You understand where I'm coming from? And anyone that has issues in their community or in their town, when you need help and guidance, all you do is write me or my colleague Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller at Gmail. I'm involved in a number of fights. Some fights, I'm behind the scenes. Nobody knows I'm there, because that's the way to play it.
That's right.
There are places that these monster mosques are going up on these quiet residential streets, and the way to play it, the way to play those fights is parking, sewage, city zoning. That's how you play those fights. You pursue every avenue. Who's funding it? If you have a team or people in the community, you find a forensic accountant to track down the funds. You're in a war. You're in a war, and the battlefield is very unfair. But what are you going to put? Did Napoleon cry? He's got the high road. He's got the high. I mean, this is the war. And it's very tough. And freedom's been under attack for a long time. And people are only just now waking up. But as long as there are free men, there's hope. Yes, sir.
Ms. Geller, I want to thank you for your website, Atlas Shrugs, and your books.
Thank you for reading it.
I do some writing occasionally, and I've relied on your sites for a lot of my research. I like to tell my friends that recently I've taken to tell them that Islamophobia isn't a disease; it's a survival skill. I write for a site I think you're familiar with, American Thinker.
I write for Thomas too. It's a great site, American Thinker.
And I appreciate if you could give Andrew Buskin my regards if you see him. But what I want to ask you,
I don't think the mic's on. You got to speak into it.
I'd like to say one thing quickly. I really think that the leadership, and that's everybody in this room, should get behind anti-Sharia legislation in this state, foreign law prohibition. People say it's not a problem, you're protected. Yes, we're protected by the most magnificent document in human history, but it's worthless if it's not being enforced. And I can sure, it's as close to a religious document as you can get. And I can tell you that, monitoring the news, increasingly we see Sharia, whether it's a Muslim man who dies and says, I want my estate divvied up according to Islamic law, and an American judge in an American court gives 1/3 to the daughter and 2/3 to the son. I don't think so. I mean, look, if this man wrote a will and said this, it's your money, individual rights, you can do what you want with it, but we don't, that's not what we do. We do not enforce Islamic law. That's one small example. There are myriad examples. I'm going to tell you that they are going to use hate speech. They're going to try and use hate speech, which is really just a euphemism for the blasphemy laws under the Sharia. That's what they're going to try and do. So I mean, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's bubbling anywhere. But David Yerushalmi of American Freedom Law Center, who is my attorney with Robert Hughes and has won every one of my cases, has written a brilliant template with the sagacity, with the knowledge of how it will be fought in the courts. And I would suggest you use that template, and I would suggest you get behind it. Anybody that opposes that, our constitutional rights, supports the Sharia, and I think that's deeply problematic. Yes, sir.
I think it's working out. So like I said, I write for American Thinker, and several of the articles I've written have to do with Islam, and thanks to a lot of research on your site and others. So I have these friends, and like I say, I tell them Islamophobia is not a disease; it's a survival skill to try to get the point across. They're still skeptical because they say, well, and they know I write for Thinker, but they say, well, it's a right-wing site. So what do you suggest? What is the single biggest point we can make to friends who are still skeptical, who aren't informed, who think Islam is just a religion, like Judaism?
Islam is a religion, but it's a comprehensive system. It's a legal, military, social, cultural, complete system, and the Sharia dictates every aspect of daily human life. And unlike Jewish law, which pertains to Jews, and canon law, which pertains to Catholics, the Sharia asserts authority over non-Muslims, which is why non-Muslims in Muslim countries are so persecuted, oppressed, and many times slaughtered. To your friends, the facts. I mean, Islamophobia, according to Abdul Rahman, was created in a Muslim think tank as a thought-crushing device to silence critics of Islam. Tell them to go to the FBI statistics and look at the statistics. Anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, attacks on Jews are at a world record high. Is anybody talking about it? No. The amount of attacks against blacks, against gays, are wildly higher than the quote-unquote anti-Muslim hate crime. And I'll tell you something, in many of these cases, what they never tell you 4 or 5 months after the incident is that it was a Muslim who did it. We see that time and time again. Yeah, the burning of the mosque, many times, or remember on the wall, the graffiti on the wall, the anti-Muslim graffiti, it was a girl, a Muslim girl. I mean, I'm just telling you, they're being played. They're being played. And they use this grievance mongering to again and again and again get special accommodation. Anywhere American law and Islamic law conflict, it's American law that has to give way. Wrong. Wrong.
I'm very grateful to be here this morning.
I'm grateful that you're here.
And one of the things, as I walked in the door, I was looking at one of the tables and I said, my problem is my children, who absolutely are brainless about what's going on in the country. And their election choices are very, very stupid, to be my personal But what I wanted to say was that as you spoke, I began to think about this group and how we in our individual towns might start classes on how to speak to your children on this. You know, like you say, a template, just to have talking points. Because for me, they'll just say, oh, you're a Christian, you think they're horrible. But I'm not. One of my best friends is Muslim and saved my life.
You don't have to be on the defense. This is what they do, they put you on the defense. I have to say what you're pointing out is critical. We've lost a generation.
Yes.
I mean, they've been inculcated in this toxic ooze, not taught to critically think, and it's deeply problematic. I don't speak at college campuses. When I do, it's always a few really brave students. Once a year I do speak at NYU to a class. I guess it's about 150, and every year it's the same thing. I speak, I leave about 45 minutes to Q&A because I want the back and the forth. And for the entire 45 minutes, the entire class is barraging me with ridiculous questions based on false premises and hate. And I answer as I would answer any 2-year-old with ADD. Very logically and rationally. And at the end of the session, I say, I want you to step back. I said, doesn't it bother you? Here you are at the university, the center of great debate, and there's no debate. And there's no intellectual diversity. And nobody goes off the reservation. All of you are like lockstep, goose stepping. Doesn't it bother you, even if you all don't agree with it, doesn't it bother you that there's no diversity of opinion?
Hitler Youth. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and even more interesting, afterwards, and I want to address how to reach them. Afterwards, I saw on Twitter, one kid wrote, oh my God, I just saw Pamela Geller, it was the greatest speech I ever saw. But here's a kid who wouldn't dare speak out in class. Really, they're fascist zones. The universities, yes. I blame it, honestly, yes. It goes back to 64, it goes back to the student rebellion when they didn't stand up. So we have a lot of repair work. I'll tell you what I do. There's like Instagram, for example, and many of you may not know what it is. It's huge with the children, huge on children, 20s, young people. And I don't really involve my personal life at all in my work. But what Instagram is it's just a picture site. People upload a picture like, selfie, in the street, a cab. It's utterly ridiculous. But then they take it, they give it effects, and it looks like neon. So what I do is, I do use it. I'll do like, I'll be playing board games, and so there'll be a pile of board games up, and I'll take a picture. This is my Thursday, what's yours? So you get followers. It's a very young platform because here I have 35,000. I have 35,000 and 36,000 followers on Twitter between Atlas Shrugs and Pam Geller, and yet they're older because I have, and on Facebook between my fan page, my friend page, I have 5,000 friends, and in the real world, not one. There's about 75,000 people, and yet on Instagram I have 300. Because, first of all, my older people are not on Instagram, but what I'm trying to do, to your point, is to use what they like, and then do a picture of Noor al-Maliki, a beautiful girl, and then I'll be like, Islamic honor killing, so sad. You got to talk then. Well, it's like talking to 2-year-olds. This is what it is. There is no critical thinking, but we cannot abandon them. But frankly, the greatest generation. You can't retire. You can't retire. Just as we revered our parents and our grandparents for saving the world from evil, I tell you that our children's children will despise us for leaving them held hostage to nuclear Islamic regimes. This I can tell you. Think about that.
5 minutes left, so very brief question.
I just want to say that women like you and I who talk, you know, we speak. And what I've discovered is, around here, open mic. I've done 2 open mics in Greenbelt now. Greenbelt is like the Democrat place, right? Okay, and what you do is you have jokes in there that suddenly hit them and they go, oh, okay. Now, may I use some of your lines if I say that, if I use you, if I
Use everything.
Okay, and I just want to say, I was at open mic, I don't know, night before last. Our kids, okay, one of my kids that lives in Greenbelt, he joined the NRA. Same day I did. But you know what? The ones that are Twitter, that are all this stuff, they don't have any money. They don't have any money. I don't know whether we want to bother with them right now. They'll grow up. Look, I have 6 kids, 10 grandchildren, 1 on the way. You know, that age group, I used to say they were, you know, they were temporarily insane for a while, and they're just kind of useless. But their parents are the ones with the money, and their grandparents are the ones with the money, and they're the ones in Greenbelt, and they're the ones in Columbia, and there's open mics. I think there's an open mic on Route 40, which I'm going to look for. So join me, okay?
I agree. First of all, understand, it's not a political war. The politics is the rear view mirror. A politician is not going to do anything that's going to make him lose votes. It's the culture. A political battle is a skirmish. A philosophical battle is a nuclear war. And that's what you and I are engaged in. You have to, it's a cultural battle. And the culture is a sewer. We are really in a low state of the world. And this is what you have to zone in on. To me, politics, it's worthless. It's a consequence. Politics are a consequence of the culture.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carol Frazier. I'm from Worcester County. And in Worcester County is our lovely city of Ocean City. And I think you're familiar with the controversy we had last year over our speaker at our mayor's prayer breakfast. It's General Jerry Boykin.
Oh, we love
And I know you know Jerry Boykin.
We love Jerry.
And CARE threatened to come to Ocean City. They were going to protest in front of the Sheraton, or Clary, whatever it's called now. And there was such a turnout for that prayer breakfast like they had never had before. People were absolutely incensed that CARE was threatening to shut us down. Okay, and then, but the city went ahead with it, the mayor went ahead with it, there was a lot of controversy. Of course, CARE never showed up. All right, and then what killed me was just a couple weeks later, General Boykin was supposed to speak at West Point, and they disinvited him. Yeah. So the mayor of little old Ocean City, Maryland, had more guts than the commandant of West Point. All right.
The Boykin withdrawal was horrible, and you're supposed to speak up to that. You're supposed to speak and write and make more noise than they make. I mean, CARE doesn't care about you. You'll notice CARE always goes to the politician. They always go to the power. And nowhere ever when they talk about CARE, Muslim advocacy group, yeah, hello. Could you imagine if I was an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorist funding trial in our nation's history? Could you imagine if I was named as some kind of a proxy to the Ku Klux Klan? I mean, would that not be part of my resume every single time? But it is never mentioned. The SPLC, a communist group started by a communist, run by Morris Dees. I mean, they use that every single time they mention me. And most people, you're very informed. You know what SPLC is. Most people don't know what that means. The media is the enemy. They are the largest weapon our enemies have in their arsenal. Yes. This is not hyperbole. They are at war with you, and they want to take your freedom. That's why they love the Sharia. There is no better system of governance to control the people than the Sharia. They have, through history, the media, Stalinism, communism, Nazism, always sided with any system that could control the people. Yes, sir.
Last question.
Last question.
Okay, the czar of climate change and the creator of the internet just sold his TV channel. And I was wondering if you were going to get a segment on it. Out there.
Yeah, okay, just so that you know, this is a battle that I've been involved in. It's being led by Cliff Kincaid. Very interesting press conference we did last year, April 2011. Go to YouTube, Geller, Al Jazeera, because we were fighting it. We were fighting Al Jazeera. I want you to understand what the buy means. This is what the buy means. Al Jazeera was trying to get on certain, trying to get into major markets. Now, we fought many, many times. We urged our people to write to congressmen not to get them on the air. Terror TV, they should be designated a terror organization. Al-Manar, Hezbollah. I mean, it's the same exact thing. Now, people think they're nuts to pay $110 million for Al Jazeera. I mean, for a current, because they only have, whatever, 65,000 views. That's not what they're buying. They're buying access. They're leapfrogging over the entire process, okay? And they're buying access. And it's very dangerous. It is brainwashing. It's like giving the Nazis a channel during World War II. It's the exact same thing. February 5th, we're holding a press conference in D.C. at the National Press Club. We want Senator McCall, who's the chairman of the Department of the Homeland Security Committee, we want him to call for hearings into this spy. We do not believe this spy should be allowed. This is a subversive entity that who seeks to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from within. And I urge you, it's on my site right now, to call. I even tweeted out his phone number, McCall, and to make your presence known. All the intel is on my site. Who Al Jazeera is, Al-Qatar, Sheikh, Karadawi, the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, who promises the annihilation of the Jewish people, and you know what they're doing to the Christians in Egypt, right? Yes. Yeah. You don't know it because of the media. You know because you read ads. Okay, and that's it. Yeah, I'm over. Okay. Thank you.